maid had come to the Mason office once again. When Della arrived, Gertie was already there and had let 2 women in, Babette Tuttle and Gretchen Horns. Della asked them to step into Perry's private office and had them take a seat. Della smiled at the 2 ladies and asked them, "How can I help you?" The 2 women fidgeted in their chairs and Babette spoke. "I know that your friend Paul Drake was almost killed. Because we were afraid to tell you the truth. I figured out that it was Marlene Lewis who had killed my husband. But I was afraid of her and she lived next door. We did not think that if we went to the police that they would believe it. But, when we heard from the police about what had happened in San Francisco, we were sick with worry. We know that what happened so many years ago was terrible and neither one of us has ever forgiven ourselves. But my husband was an innocent man and did not deserve to die. Either did Charlie Bowers. You might say that because of us 4 people died," she told her. "Charlie went crazy and thought that it would be funny to have the man I hired follow him charged with the murder of a police officer. He threatened to kill me if I told the police and I believed him." Gretchen told him, "We would have come to you sooner, but then he got murdered." Just then Perry came in through the back door and smiled at the 2 ladies. He had been wondering if the 2 of them would show up now that Marlene had been arrested. "We need to go to the police with this information. Without it, an innocent man could face the death penalty or life in prison," Perry told them. The 2 women shook their heads and said that they would talk to the police. "If we have to go to jail for not telling the truth, we are willing to go to jail," Babette told him. "You won't face any charges. You were afraid for your life and you came right to my office with the honest answer. The Monday after you found out that Marlene had been arrested. Don't worry. We just need to set George Streeter free from the charges," Perry told him. Della looked up the number to LT Tragg and asked him to come to the office. She told him that they had the mystery of the murdered policeman solved and he said that he would be right there. Hamilton Berger was at the police station and said that he would come over with him. Neither LT Tragg or Hamilton Berger had thought that they would be meeting the 2 women, Babette and Gretchen. They thought that someone else had done the murder. When the 2 women told them the truth, both of them knew that what they said was true. It was another win for Mason, but they all shook hands and Hamilton Berger agreed to meet them at the courthouse to get the charges dropped on George Streeter. Just as Tragg and Berger were getting ready to leave, Paul Drake and George Streeter showed up at Perry's office. Della had called him and he had come right over. Hamilton and LT Tragg smiled and told him, "We need to go to the courthouse, you and your lawyer. The district attorney's office is dropping all charges against you, Mr. Streeter," they told him with a smile. Paul and George smiled as they headed to the courthouse. Once more Perry, Della and Paul had solved a murder mystery and an innocent man was going to go free. That evening Perry and Della had a celebration dinner. They had another successful murder case and it was time for the 2 of them to get ready for their wedding. It was now the middle of June and there was just 9 weeks until the big day. Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. they were going to meet the realtor and the house inspector for the inspection of the house. They would not be going to work in the morning until they were done with home inspection. The next morning Della got up an hour later than usual. She wanted to be refreshed for the inspection and they were not due at the house until 10. Perry was going to pick her up a little after 9:30 and then they were going to be on their way to the new house. As they pulled up to the house they were met by the realtor and the inspector. As they went through each room once again and waited while the inspector went up on the roof, Della made notes of the colors and the size of each room. Lori and her were going to go shopping as soon as everything went through. The inspection took over 3 hours. But when it was done the inspector smiled and told them the home was in excellent condition. Now they would have to go to the bank and fill out more papers. When they got to the office Perry called the bank and set up an appointment for him and Della to meet with the mortgage man. He would want the inspection in his hand. And then he said it would make it faster. The inspection report should be arriving by Friday, he told him. So the bank made an appointment with Perry and Della for the following Monday. The mortgage manager said that there should be no problem with the sale completing on the 1st. The rest of the week was spent like any other busy week at a lawyer's office. Della caught up on a lot of work that she had not had the time to do over the past couple of weeks, and Perry did some more studying of new cases that had happened over the last few months. Each night they worked on the invitations. Della approached him and he agreed that their song should be Always by the Best Irving Berlin. They wanted to have their first dance as man and wife to the song from the 1920s. It was one of their favorites. So another decision about the wedding had been decided. The invitations had finally been completed and Della had sent them out with the morning mail also. It was the end of another week at the Mason Law Office and Della was tired. They had gotten the inspection report on the house and everything was all right. Now they would be meeting with the bank on Monday. The closing was still tentative on the 1st of July, just 54 days before the wedding. Lori and Della had been working with different designs and had many carpet and furniture samples that they had looked at and studied. Perry had been a great help with the rooms that he would be mostly using, and they had made the decision to get a king-size bed with matching nightstands and 2 bureaus. Della already had a dressing table that she wanted to keep, so she wanted to find furniture that would match it. The pool house would need a more durable fabric, as they were both sure that the people who used the pool house might sit on the furniture while they were still at least damp. Since the pool house did not have a bedroom, the couch was going to need to be a sleeper. Both of the bathrooms would have to be furnished with towels, a shower curtain and toiletries. There were 2 baths with a place for changing in each of them. Della and Perry both had bedroom sets that would work fine in 2 of the upstairs bedrooms, but Della wanted to leave the room that was next to the master bedroom without furniture. She hoped that would be used as the nursery. But it was the weekend and there were no active murder investigations at the time, so they had time to relax. Della went to Perry's penthouse on Friday night to enjoy a night of peace and quiet. It was a very hot night, so they went out onto the terrace and enjoyed the night air. From there the noise of the streets were muffled, but the lights in the sky were mesmerizing. They were going to miss their times up there on the roof. It was a peaceful night and Della was glad to have the time alone together. Tomorrow was going to be a busy day for her once more. She had an appointment at the dressmaker's for one more fitting. Lori wanted to go with her and Perry knew that this was a ladies' day and he was not invited. They would go out to dinner that evening. Carrie was a very capable dressmaker who Perry had helped earlier when she had been charged with a murder. She had been innocent and Perry and Della had proved that. As payment, Carrie had offered to do Della's dress for free, but Della would not hear of it. The dress was way too expensive for her to charge Carrie for the trial.